Hello there, it's me, Sari here again. Today I'm here to play a little with a die cut piece and a stencil and some stencils and some brushes and some inks. I do have some different kinds of inks here, so I thought I'd just show you what I discovered just the other day when I was making this. I had the chance of actually borrowing a really nice set of dies from a friend of mine, and I immediately wanted to make some kind of a art journal page or something similar with this. So I die cut her out, and I deliberately actually die cut it in the center so I could actually use it as a stencil later on. And I'm thinking that I could also use this one, so I could make two projects at the same time. So basically what I'm going to do, I have this piece of paper and I have another cut to the same size approximately. It could be a little bit wonky. I hope I'll be able to pull it off. I mean, I'm going to use this scoreboard just to keep the paper in place. I think that it's really handy. And to start off, I'm going to use some black ink. And I do find these small ink pads really handy when it comes to colouring in things like this. And I'm just going to dab the ink around the shape of the girl here. So I'm just trying to create a black border around it, and at the same time giving her some kind of texture or pattern with this sort of a black grey thing here. And I'm thinking that is all right. So if I'm going to lift it up, what I'll be ending up with is this sort of a halo thingy there, or shadow, or ghost. And I do have this one to use as well. So just to give you a heads up on what you could do with a technique like this, after having coloured the clean girl up with stencils and such, you could actually glue her in like this, couldn't you? And she's going to pop out really nicely from that black shadow. So I do have two black shadows here now, and I'm going to put that one aside. And what I'm going to do now, in order to be able to, you know what I could do actually? Let's see if I put it back there. I did struggle a bit yesterday, or just the day before, when I didn't find my sort of stick and spray thingy, repositionable adhesive, and I'm just going to spray on a little bit, and I'm thinking that's going to be alright, since I'm not going to use any sort of an ink blending tool or anything that's going to rug up the paper. I'm just going to give it some, use it as a glue, so there is a bit of stickiness to it, and I hope it's going to be enough. So what I'll do now is just place the girl on top, try to cover all the blackness here. And now I'm ready to start working with different kinds of stencils. I could even go for, I do like the Tim Holtz stencils because they are rather small and everything, and I do like the patterns of them. So let's see, I actually did find this one. Linen is rather nice, and I'm thinking of placing it just here and there, and just to give you an idea of how I like to work with stencils and such, I'm going to take you on this trip with me. So now I'm going to use some Versa Magic Aquatic Splash, and this is a rather sort of a soft colour, and I'm going to put the stencil, keep it there, and I'm just going to brush it on like that. And if I find that the colour is too pale, I could of course just pop it off like that and put in some more and use the brush and try to blend it. The drop, of course, depending on what kind of paper you're using, the ink might get stuck rather quickly, but in this case I do believe it's going to work for me, because I did want some definition in that colour. So that's a way to go about it, I suppose. So let's see, I'm going to take another stencil now, and you know what? I do like to use the sides as guides so I don't get the patterns warped and a little bit here and there. So I'm just going to take a red brush. Some of these colors are more intense than others. So I'm just going to use the line there, and I'm going to work in this red ink. And when I lift it up, I see that there's a really harsh line, which I don't really like, but I'm hoping I'll be able to cover that one up later. So I'm thinking numbers are always nice to use. So if I were to go in with this, and I'm going to try to make that one work, sort of, and I'm actually going to go for some black. It's always good to have a brush for black ink as well, because you might want to use it for this purpose now, won't you? So I'm thinking that I do have the letters and everything in line there, so I'm hoping I'll be able to break it up by using this stencil like this. And if I were to want a little bit more, a more intense look, I could go in like this, couldn't I? I do believe that this one is rather dry, so it isn't giving me that much more. So that's why I'm not brushing it out, because I do want the black to pop out a little bit better there. Since I do have the figure in black, I'm not going to go overboard with the black ink. I just wanted to break up the pink there. So let's see if I could continue with something blue perhaps. Nowadays I'm very much into blue and green hues. I don't know what has happened to me really. Perhaps I've just realized that they are fabulous colors. So I'm going to take the blue, and this blue, bloody hell, this blue ink is pretty strong, as you can see. So it stretches a bit. And I do like the layer upon layer look there. Just look at that, really smashing. So I do have a little bit of blue there. And should I go with some blue even on this one perhaps? And I'm going to use the line here. I mean, when it comes to splotches or speckles, you really don't need to worry that much about where the ink is ending up or where the stencil is going to end up, because it's an irregular pattern anyway. But since I do have that technique, I just want to continue with it. I want to. So there we are. I think it's nice to have the same color twice on this piece. So I think I'll go for something here, and I might even go for something pink. Now this stencil is rather open, so perhaps I should take it easy with the inking of that one. Let's see. And I'm going to take a pink brush. Try to work it out. I mean, this one gets stuck really quickly, so, well, I suppose it's just the way it is. But look at that. It's rather fancy anyway. So if I were to go in with some more pink, I could try to see if there's anything left here. There might be a little. Yes, there was actually. I didn't need to add on anything else. So if you're afraid of contaminating colors or just taking another color on top of another, well, you might need to clean them up beforehand. I seldomly do that. So let's see if I can find... I'm just curious. I mean, this pattern might not be perfect at all, but I'm just curious to see where I'm going to go with these colors and these stencils. I'm just going to add on a little. And you need to think that a stencil will give you the negative, not the print itself, unless you're going to turn it over. So in this case, I get the green, I get the notes are getting white. So that's a way of lightening things up if you want to. And if I would like to use a little bit of green up here as well, I could actually use the stencil like so. Go for a different place from the notes. the concerto, and just brush out the colour. Now it didn't turn out as I wanted it really, but it is what it is. So I do have quite a bit of green there. I'm thinking, what if I were to put this one in? I mean, I must remind myself of that I have a black girl there. I mean, she can stand a little bit colour. So I think I'll just go for the Tangelo. I mean, it's a really sharp orange ink, and I do like orange. I always have. And with an orange brush, I'm just going to place that there. And I'm going to make that splatters pattern come to life. And I find this sort of a way of stamping, another way of stamping. I do like this method really, because it's a way of really getting things where you want them. And it's also nice if you would like to use some texture paste or something on top of this, just to get the mixed media theme going on a little bit better. So let's see, I do like these roses though. I'm thinking this is going to be too much. But the question is, will I be able to make it? If I'm going to use something red, I do have a rhubarb stalk here. I think I'll go with that, and I'll try to find a place for the rose, something like that. And you know, having the scoreboard to you work with, I mean, you're getting an automatic stop for your ink pad. So you can see, I mean, there's a lot of ways to use these scoreboards, not just to create a specially folded card. I mean, you could go for this method. Otherwise that ink pad would have just flown away. So I'm just finding that using a scoreboard as a guide for gluing papers together and everything, it's really handy a tool. So now I've got some roses. I mean, this isn't really what I usually do, I must say. I'm going overboard here, but let's dare to do so once in a blue moon. And I also have some of these, I do have in the small prints as well, and I do like these a lot, and especially when it comes to numbers and such. Perhaps I should dare to use the black yet once more, just to tie it up a little. I mean, I have the girl in black and I have some numbers and letters there. I could also go for this one here, couldn't I? So I think I'll just try to make it work. And while holding it still, I'm just going to pounce a little like this. Hopefully I'll get something there. So now I can lift it up, and the girl is going to be looking like... I mean, this isn't the best, but I hope that you did get an idea of what I was going for here. Had I now used the Distress Oxide inks, I'm thinking I would have gotten a better result. I'm not sure what I could do to rescue this, really. I could go for some yellow and just go completely overboard. Let's see what I haven't used. I can actually try another stencil, because I think I lucked out better using these big stencils from Nelly Snellen, because I can actually cover a bigger area right away. And now I need to hold on to that stencil. I started off, my goodness, there was some dirt going on that one. I started out using it like this, but just seeing it, I'm going to get an edge here, so I don't want that edge. So I have to use it by freehand. Of course I could go for some washi tape if I wanted to, but I just want to complete it like this. So now I've smudged up this, so might as well just put it a little bit here and a little bit there, just to see where I'll end up with that. And the brush itself was dirty, so I think I'll just wipe it clean somewhat there. And I think that I've still kept this one in place. And I think I'll just try to see what I can make out of this. I mean, sometimes you luck out and sometimes you don't. I think it's just a question about that. So here we are. Would I now to continue using different things, let's say texture paste and everything, I could go on. Or I could just settle for this and have a die cut wood or something, or just, I don't know. But here's something really wild and crazy. And on camera, the girl is still popping out. I, on the other hand, feel like this is too busy for me. But what I really wanted to show you with this video was the fact that you could have this as a page. If you don't like it, well, discard it. Perhaps you could make use of the girl that you had as a mask instead. I think that's rather fabulous. And here's the other one. Let's see how she works. So it isn't that bad, I must say. I do like this a little bit better than this one in this case. Although I did have the first one. I'm not sure if I can find it now. Here it is. I think this is better, since I didn't have as many stencils, and perhaps I didn't have that many colors either, as you can see. So you can choose how far you should go, really. Of course, if you would like to, I mean, if you have a pattern piece of paper like this, already made and everything, you could try, if the paper is big enough, that is, you could try. And in this case, I think that it would be preferable, really, to have some tape. But just imagine, I mean, she looks fabulous. You know, this is a really, now I just came up with a really good idea. I could actually see myself gluing this one on top of this one and just having a really fabulous girl there. Because my first thought was that I was going to use this template with the black ink and blacken her up, so I would get the same result as here, sort of. But I really do like her when she looks like this. I must say that I really like this method. So perhaps my favorite way to go about this is to just ink these up with stencils and brushes and everything, and just have some really fabulous looking girls. I'm going to sign off right now and hope to be back soon again. Bye bye.